The Atlanta Falcons and the San Diego Chargers, both off to great starts this season, both 2-0. They'll meet Sunday in San Diego. BETDAQ currently has San Diego installed as a 3-point favorite in this game, 47.5 the total. This should be an excellent game. Look for a competitive game. I look for a lot of scoring. These two offenses really have it rolling here early in the year, especially these two quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, highest rated quarterback in the NFL right now, and Philip Rivers, the other guy, he's only completing 73% of his passes. He's thrown 4 touchdowns compared to only 1 interception. That's a good sign for Chargers fans. Rivers had his career worst year last year, at least in terms of interceptions. Threw over 20 interceptions. It was really a big reason why the Chargers didn't make the playoffs. Finished a disappointing 8-8. They are off to a really good start this year. Again, they will be facing a big step up in competition here this week with the Atlanta Falcons. Their first 2 wins against the Oakland Raiders and the Tennessee Titans, 2 teams who, if the first 2 weeks of their season are any indication, those 2 teams are not going to be playoff teams. They have not looked very good. Now, you can't fault the Chargers. All they do is play who's on their schedule. We'll learn a lot more about them this week because Atlanta, we saw them hang 40 in Kansas City in Week 1. Then last week against the Denver Broncos, a team that a lot of people expect to be the best team in the AFC West, San Diego's division. Atlanta beat that team, got off to a big lead, picked off Peyton Manning 3 times in the first quarter, sort of held on there at the end. But once again, this Falcons offense playing great football, and the Falcons defense appears to be much improved. Mike Nolan, first year as a defensive coordinator, and Nolan's had great success throughout his career in the NFL as a defensive coordinator, and he appears to be making a real instant impact in Atlanta. Now, San Diego, they've also improved on defense. John Pagano, first-year defensive coordinator out there, and the Chargers lead the league in rush defense through 2 games, and they face 2 good running backs, Darren McFadden and Chris Johnson for the Tennessee Titans. Will they have to face another good running back this week? Michael Turner, Atlanta starting running back, who started his career in San Diego, may or may not play in this game. Turner was arrested for drunk driving on the way home from Monday night's win over the Denver Broncos, so his status still in question. San Diego starting running back Ryan Matthews, he hasn't played yet this season due to injury. He might not play this week. He's questionable. The more important player for San Diego, the guy who they're going to need to beat the Falcons, is Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates, their tight end, one of the best tight ends in the league. Now that Vincent Jackson is gone to Tampa, no longer there, wide receiver Vincent Jackson, who was the sort of go-to guy for Philip Rivers over the last couple of years because Gates wasn't quite 100%. But now with Jackson gone, Gates clearly the go-to guy in this offense. Was supposed to be 100% healthy coming into this season for the first time in a long time. If you saw Week 1 against Oakland, you could see Philip Rivers' comfort level. He was looking for Gates early and often. Now, Gates hurt his ribs in that game. Sore ribs, what they're reporting it as. Could be cracked ribs. He did miss last week's game against Tennessee. They didn't need him. They rolled over the Titans. But as I said, big step up in competition this week. I do think the Chargers are going to need Antonio Gates if they want to have success out here this week. Now, Atlanta has never lost in San Diego. Strangely, you'd think that throughout these franchise history, Atlanta doesn't exactly have an illustrious history. 5-0 all-time out in San Diego. A surprise for an East Coast team going out west. A lot of times those things don't work out quite like that. So we'll see if they can take it to 6-0. San Diego has actually only beat Atlanta 1 time in the franchise's history. That was a game out in Atlanta some 20-some-odd years ago. So Atlanta has history on their side a little bit here. However, I do lean towards the San Diego Chargers in this game. Coming into this season, the Chargers were my pick to win the AFC West. I think a lot of people were sleeping on this team after they had a disappointing 8-8 year last year. Just a couple of years ago, this team was one of the favorites to win the AFC, and since then, they've actually improved on defense. Now, you could say with Vincent Jackson gone on offense, their running back situation is less than perfect, I guess, especially with Matthews being injured, and maybe Gates might be a little past his prime now. So they might have lost something on offense from that team a couple of years ago, but they seem to be a little better on defense. And with Philip Rivers running that offense, it is still a really good explosive unit. If you saw the Chargers play last year, if they hadn't have shot themselves in the foot and hurt themselves with so many turnovers, self-inflicted wounds, they would have won the AFC West. And so far through 2 games, they have been able to stay away from those crippling mistakes. So they might win the AFC West this year. As I said, coming into the season, I picked them to win the AFC West. Hard to bet against Atlanta, though. I understand if you're a little hesitant to back San Diego here this week. Falcons have looked as good as any team in the league, blowing out Kansas City on the road in Week 1 and then beating Peyton Manning and the Broncos last week. And quite frankly, I might not be betting on San Diego in this game if Antonio Gates doesn't play. Before I do anything on this game, I'm going to wait and hear if Gates is going to play or not. That makes a big, big difference. This offense is not the same when he's not out there. I know Dante Rosario, who filled in for Gates last week, had a nice game, but again, that was the Tennessee Titans. This is a different story entirely. The Atlanta Falcons, one of the better teams in the NFC, And it's not so much that the Falcons have a great defense, so much a better defense than Tennessee. It's just the Falcons are going to be able to score points. And so San Diego is going to have to match them. They're going to have to put up a lot of points themselves. As I said, the total in this game is 47.5. I do look for a high-scoring game. I lean towards the over here. I lean towards San Diego and the over. San Diego has been a great team to back recently, 6-1 against the number in their last 7 games. You know, as I said, after last season, it really got off to a bad start last season, and I think a lot of people lost faith in this team. They roll their eyes. You know, Norv Turner, we've seen this movie before, same old, and that's why you weren't hearing a lot about the Chargers heading into the season. But if they can beat the Falcons on Sunday, you're going to hear plenty about them going forward, and you know what? I think they just might.